Man, that intro seems a lot longer when y'all ain't listening to it, but I am. What's up? Welcome back. Today we are on Skype, not in the studio, with Jovan Valencia from Wynwood Tattoo Company out of Miami, Florida. We're going to get into a conversation with him about owning a tattoo shop and how he got into it and how he got started. But welcome in.
Hey, guys.
First, Larry's going to go through the Gorilla Gauntlet with him. We'll get to know him a little bit.
All right, let's get started. All right, so married or single or dating?
Pleading the fifth on everything from here on with you, Joe. Personal right now. If I have a wife, I want to keep it single because I want a tattoo shop. So I still need the hoochies coming around. No, I'm just
okay.
I got you. I live with my girl.
Okay. All right. Any children?
Yeah, actually, the daughter, 14 now, just turned
14.
March 16th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck, 14. Wow.
Dude, the good luck thing is not. It sounds, much more, scary than you think, dude. It's a teen years, man.
Yeah. I got two girls, but they're not that old yet, so I don't know. Yeah.
They're getting close, though, King.
My oldest is 11, and then my youngest 8. Yeah. So we'll see.
Start practicing a lot of self-restraint. I don't know what a charge is for slapping a 14-year-old kid for hugging your daughter.
Have you ever
Hopefully you don't find out, but in case if you do.
Have you ever seen Bad Boys 2?
Yes, that
part with Reggie.
As much as you can.
That part where Reggie with the answer. Oh, that's the best with Reggie.
That's awesome. All right, so
go ahead, Larry.
I think you said Miami, right?
Yeah.
All right. Are you an iPhone or Android guy?
iPhone, all the way, every single device.
Okay, now every single device. Do you have a Mac?
Yeah, everything has to be with. That's the only thing, and I do understand the Apple. The one thing with Apple has to be that they basically own your because there's no way to get out of the Apple ID thing. But
right,
man, the picture quality is awesome on the iPhone, so it's
yeah.
I've been like Gen 1 with it, so I don't even flip around.
Now, being that you're a tattoo artist, do you use your Mac for drawing?
The pad actually, that's the easiest way. There's a couple of apps now that help a lot with the process. There's a couple of stencil ones, which is the preparation, kind of like the tracing that we use. There's a couple of ones to actually create and draw, like Procreate and those type of. Basically, it's like a Photoshop on the flash. Those help a lot, basically now, with creating on the fly, like a walk-in or anything like that. So everything is a pad now. It also creates a much sterile environment. The less things that you're touching, even if you're not tattooing, just the better. Just creating habit. So at my shop now, everything is wireless. So I can do a design on the pad, literally throw it to a wireless printer, that actually prints out my stencil already ready to go. So I don't have to do a stencil for my print. So it just comes out as a stencil already. So
that's pretty awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So before we get too much into the tattooing, because I'm definitely interested in this. Favorite movie or book? Might be Bad Boys 2, right, with that Reggie scene, but
favorite movie or book?
Yeah.
Wow, man, I'm a big movie buff, so just to single it out like that, it's really, really hard, man. I don't know. It'd have to be.
What is your go-to? Like, is there a movie that you want to fall asleep to every night? Like, do you go to sleep like that?
There's a director. If you want entertainment, you go to Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you're like watching the movie or just having it in the background for the images. It's a nice movie to have. So anything Quentin Tarantino, it's a go.
I still need to see Hollywood Story.
What does the guy have? Like 6 or 7 movies? It's not a lot of movies that he has either.
It's not a lot, but he's
he doesn't. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Here.
Yeah. He only has a few. All right. So, favorite genre of music?
I gotta go cheesy. I still have to say hip hop, man. It still has to be hip hop.
Old or new?
Older. But I don't have anything against the new. I don't do the mumble rap thing, but not out of hatred or anything like that. I feel everything has to evolve. You're just looking for new sounds. Just kind of like when electronic music came up and everybody just thought it was a sound. And, it floats some people's boats, stimulates them in some ways. And if it stimulates creativity, by all means, it's an art form. So I don't hate on the new stuff. I just like the older stuff because it's a lot more lyrical. That's going to sound super cheesy, but it's a lot more poetic. Even like the hard rappers.
Yeah.
And to Nas and all these guys from the East Coast, they're literally saying something, either a political statement or just trying to address people maybe now and how things were over then,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And that's one thing that's important about music, to your point, is that if you want to know what the hell is going on at that point in time in life or in time, if you listen to the lyrics, typically that's what it is. I don't know if that's true of the new generation, but the older generation, 2010 and before, I would say that's fairly accurate. All right.
Check this out. Don't mean to cut you off. But
yeah.
How about this? How about the fact that they're not saying anything says something? Like the fact that somebody had something to say back then and not something to say now could say a lot that we're not seeing because we're living in this time. Maybe we look back at it in 10 times and say, oh my God, we had nothing to say right now. Or education system was so far gone, they had no inspiration for it. They had no access to real creative minds. It all depends on how you look at things, It's there for a reason. If it got to somebody's ears and stimulated somebody, there's something there. And art's there for that,
That's true, right? Maybe me as a parent have made it too easy for my kid, right? So it could be something along those lines too, right? And maybe that's like the whole generation of that. But that's a great point, man.
Absolutely.
All right. So reservation or just walk in to restaurants?
I'm a walk-in type of guy, man. I'm a walk-in type of guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
That's all right. So go back to a question. Quentin Tarantino has directed with the newest release, 11, and he has 2 more in the works. So
I think he's retiring soon.
He has Django. He has the Django Zorro coming out in 22, and then he's got
Django Zorro.
It's what it says. I don't know. I'm just looking.
Okay.
And then Kill Bill Volume 3, but there's no date on that. It just says it's announced. So
that's probably
Django. Django's one of my favorites.
That is a good one.
So favorite type of food. All right, wait, but before I get too far into this, you live in Miami. Reggaeton? No.
I don't have anything against it. It's not what I like it personally here. My girl can't get enough of it, dude.
Okay.
It's all day in my house.
It's not my
so
thing
you
either,
so you do get enough of it.
All right. So favorite type of food.
Pizza, man. Pizza. You can't go wrong with a pizza. Pizza's like sex, man. Even when it's bad, it's still good enough. It's still good enough, dude.
Now, what if it's like Totino's microwave?
It'll work. It'll do the trick. At some point, it's like a cracker, man. It just depends on how specific you get, but it'll do the job.
Okay. What's your favorite restaurant in Miami or in Wynwood? We'll say.
Ooh.
Like if I'm down visiting Wynwood, where should I definitely eat?
Man, there's so many pop-ups now, and they're really, really good. If I didn't call out my neighbor, he'd hate me for it, dude. There's a Boom Roller Pizza right next door, and we eat that stuff every day. So the guy
all right.
It's completely biased, dude. It's literally the guy next door, but it is awesome food, man. The guy probably doesn't want me to say it, but they have dough. It's like 3 brothers. They have no need for it, and they get up every morning. They go buy their own ingredients, their own tomatoes. They're there at the crack of dawn. So they really put in the work. Really good people, quality food, man. They make you feel at home. So if you guys do have a chance, that place is really awesome.
Right on.
All right. So have you eaten at Lucali?
Dude, the one on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Listen.
I don't do
lines or cover charges.
But I've heard it's great.
It's really good, man. But I don't want to say that on a podcast, man, because I don't do lines or cover charges. And it was an hour wait for a pizza, man. An hour wait for a slice of pizza. It was not, dude. Listen, if you have the time for somebody to just swing by, there's no line. Get the slice. Get some good stuff. But
yeah, listen, I've heard that it's the #1 pizza in New York City. But they only have a second location. I think it's that only other one is in Miami.
It's good. I'm from New York originally, man. So there's something in the water. So it's
okay.
It's not the same. Okay. But
I agree.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah, everything that we've had a couple brewers on, and they talk about the water in Florida to make beer, and they say it's just horrible.
What do you guys sauce or dough? What do you guys more like? Better? What do you guys prefer, a good sauce or a good dough?
A good sauce.
Dough. I'm
I'm probably a dough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I like more of a pan pizza, so probably like the dough side of things. I like the thicker pizza.
Yeah, I enjoy the
Like
Chicago
pizza.
style.
And you like what?
Chicago.
Yeah, I like
that deep dish stuff.
I love deep dish. That's the way it's at.
That's some heavy stuff.
Yeah. All right, so what do you drive?
I actually just have a 1966 Cadillac Coupe de Ville dropped to the load.
And listen, Jovan, when I wrote this question into the gauntlet, I wrote it for guys like you, okay? Because I'm a car guy. We've talked a little bit.
Yes,
we'll get into that conversation, later on in the podcast. But see, I wrote it for guys that I know there's people out there besides me that just love their cars, boy.
So you dropped it?
Yeah, well, I actually when I met Corey, I was actually driving it down, no brakes from Zephyr Hills, Florida, all the way down to Miami.
Okay.
So thank God we made it. But
how far a drive is that? How many hours is that?
It took me like 5 hours, something like that, 5 and change maybe. A couple of stops for overheating. It didn't have like the radiator. You saw the radiator. It was like the drain for the radiator was literally like the oil, what do you call it, bag or whatever it comes in.
Okay.
But she made the trip, man. So it's all part of it, man. It's about the drive, man. It's about
part of the story.
Conversation we're having now. It's all about that.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. If you always get something safe, you may not have that experience, right? So what the hell is there to talk about? So.
Now, did your girl like the car when you brought it home?
Oh, she hates it, dude.
Oh man! See, my best friend, we bought our '67 Cadillac. His wife hated it. My wife's like, "Oh, that thing's awesome." Like, my wife is totally like, awesome. I guess I have her brainwashed after so many years that I bring home a piece of junk and she's like, "Oh, that's nice."
Oh, that's not. That's it. That's the perfect brainwashing. Oh, that's nice. Oh, got it. Got it. If I can get a sandwich out of this later. Oh, dude. I had to make the sandwiches, man, that day.
You had to make the sandwiches. Oh man!
But on the other hand, she liked the pickup, the 1977 Ford. She definitely liked that. So.
Oh, she liked that though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What color?
To each their own.
Yeah.
What color is that pickup?
We're doing black on black on everything. That's a shop car we're getting ready right now. It's a lifted truck. One of my artists and I are doing. So hopefully we get a chance to show you guys that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put that on the gram, man.
Those cars are they're all about that, man. They're all about the time you have, and I thank God every day I do something that I love to do. I don't have to sit in a cubicle, and thank God I don't blow my brains out every night. So that's the car's part of it, man. Just to be able to remember why you do it, be grateful. Definitely be grateful, dude, that you can be out there and do something that you love and you enjoy. And that 5-hour drive, dude, smoking the fumes and then trying not to get mold particles in your lungs. It's a great story.
All right, so last question. Beer, whiskey, or wine?
I don't drink, dude. I know that sounds stupid, but it's not.
No,
not
out of
any
respect,
gentleness or anything like that. But I just never found a taste for drinking. But if I do find myself having something, I'll probably have like a nice Scotch neat, just like an old Scotch, because I know I'm not gonna drink it like in the swing. It's gonna like last me, so I'll probably have like nice Scotch. We're like celebrating something, like drinking something. Like, all right, we'll have a Scotch. But I guess it's all the occasion, man. If we're just like having, our girls over and we're like all together and they want some wine, I'll have a little glass of wine, man.
Now, do you do cigars?
By choice, it's none.
Do you do cigars at all or no?
Nah, dude.
Nothing. Okay.
Nice.
I smoke cigarettes a lot, dude, but I stopped. I've been on and off with my whole life. But kids, if you're listening, don't do the cigarette thing. It's like the stupidest vice ever.
I'm with you.
It's just so bad, man. It sounds. And I thought I'd never be the guy saying, "Hey, kids, don't smoke cigarettes." But dude, it's so stupid, and the amount of money that you spend on those things is so crazy. It's like $300-400 a month. It's crazy, dude.
Jesus.
It adds up.
Yeah, when you add it up, that's a lot. Wow.
All right. So you're the owner of the shop there in Wynwood, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that happen? How do you get to just own a tattoo shop?
Yeah, you don't just own a tattoo shop. That's definitely not happening. It takes definitely a lot of hard work, sacrifice, and time, man. I started off just like a hang around when I was 14 years old. So I started getting my first tattoo at 14.
Okay, hold on, wait. Let me interject right there. Your daughter's 14. Is it okay for her to get a tattoo?
My daughter has actually, and I stutter every time somebody asks me because I don't want to jinx it, man. Now, ever since she was a little girl, which she still is, but like I'm talking baby. Since it's been always part of my life, it's not something that she all of a sudden had. So when her friends would tell her, "Oh, my dad has a tattoo," she would just change the conversation because it's an everyday kind of thing for her, you know?
Yeah.
So right now she's 14 and, you know, full blown teenager, and she doesn't find them fancy at all, man. She doesn't like them. Like, she likes the art. She loves the drawing when I paint, when I draw, and everything like that. But like for her to get it, no. But you know,
what do you feel like is an appropriate age to get a tattoo?
18, dude. 18.
18.
18 is. I'm an 18 and older shop. I don't even let minors in my shop.
Yeah.
It's 18 and older. When I got my tattoo, that's another thing. Because nowadays it's a lot easier. Before it was 18 and older, just on principle of it. It was scary to go in a tattoo shop. You know, you wouldn't go into a tattoo shop, man.
Yeah.
You know, let alone if you were a minor. But
yeah.
now things are so easy, and you know, you have doctors, lawyers, and everybody getting tattooed. I mean, at least you should have it as a principle. You know, listen.
I can appreciate that, especially as a parent. You know. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it's way more socially acceptable than it used to be, by far.
By far. So it's up to you. You know, I mean, again, man, I understand business is business. You know, and I'm a true capitalist at heart. So law abiding, you get me? If that's what it is, if you can do the release form, get a notary stamp, because that's what the procedure is. If you want to do that at the shop, power to you, man, because, you know, business is business. So I just cut the red tape, man, and cut it. I just made that decision the second I opened the shop. I was like, no minors, 18, no shop.
So you've been in the obviously been in art probably your whole life. How old were you? You said 14 is when you got your first one. So is that when you started like practicing or thinking about being a tattoo artist?
Tattoo, man. Listen, the reality of tattooing, especially like in the last 10 years, is that it's been a whirlpool of stuff. You didn't just choose to become a tattoo artist back in the day, you know. There's a great machine builder that had an interview the other day, and they asked him, "Oh, did you do a tattoo apprenticeship?" He's like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I was cleaning up the shop when I was 8 years old. My dad's a tattoo artist too, so I guess you could call that an apprenticeship." You get me? So it was something like that, you know. Like I started as a hang around, man. It wasn't something I was looking for a job. I was trying not to get a job.
So what was your first tattoo that you got at 14?
I still have it. It's I don't cover any of mine. It's an Indian on my arm. I still have it.
Okay. So an Indian, like how big was it?
I'll show you right now. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves in the meantime.
All right. So all right. So a quick tattoo story. Me and Jeremy were 18 years old, right? Kids, don't do this. All right. This is my this is my fatherly advice if I could give you. We did a senior class trip to Cancun, Mexico, and when we went to Mexico, we had a little too much tequila, right, at 18, because of course you do. That's what you do in Mexico, right? So
you're allowed at 18.
My first tattoo.
Okay.
At 14 years old.
Well, I think you lucked up because I feel like most 14-year-olds wouldn't get a decent tattoo at 14.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky. Oh, by the way, Native American. We got to do like politically correct now. Right?
Yeah, Larry's actually Native American, so.
I do.
I am.
He'll try to tell you he's Mexican, but he's not.
50%,
baby. I'm a super 90s baby. I don't do the whole for your feelings thing. You know I didn't mean disrespectfully, so.
No.
No.
You can't.
We-
You
Look,
can't,
man, we're just having a
Actually,
conversation.
Jovan,
You can't
we
offend
always
Larry.
We mess with him because he says he's Mexican, but his DNA came back that he's Native American.
So I'll tell you a story. So basically, my wife thought that she's been Native American forever, right? And then it came back. We did mine, my son's, and hers, and the first one I opened up was my son's, and I saw he was like 26% Native American. I was like, oh
Whoa,
crap, like
cool.
that's coming from her. And then I opened mine up, and it's like 50%. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yo.
So that's why the joke.
So he's like definitely not Mexican.
Hey, I need that Native American benefits.
But that's another weird one. See, that's another weird one. Because all right, so then where are they basing these gene pools from? Because like, all right, so if we go back to like
Agreed.
back in the day, so like, are we calling Native Americans if it's just on U.S. soil? Is California considered that? Was that Mexican? Was that American? If you were a tribe in California, are you Native American? Or are you dude? The whole
because you can go North
It's
America,
so
South America, and you
crazy.
could be Native American.
Jovan, for the sake of this podcast, we just like to say Native American so we can let Larry know that he's not Mexican. It's strictly just for this podcast. I don't really care if he's Native American or Mexican, except that if he says he's Mexican, I need to correct him.
Tax
Okay?
And listen, Jovan, to be honest with you, if I said I was Native American, he'd be like, "Oh no, you're Mexican."
like, of course.
So
Yeah, he's gonna correct regardless.
Yeah.
the podcasts are probably still listening to the story. We went tequila story.
Yes.
Yeah. So we drank too much tequila. Me and Jeremy are like, "Hey, let's get a tattoo." Sounds like
Yeah.
a great idea. I went there and picked like some stupid tattoo, and
Like,
Jeremy
yeah.
picked another one.
Mine was worse. Yeah.
And it's just horrible. Like mine's like a lizard on my back.
How
It
big?
is
How big?
It's big.
awful.
Actually,
Big.
it's pretty good size. Yours is pretty good size.
Let me see.
Let's
like-
see it. Come on, Larry.
Come on,
no,
man.
no,
You made me
it's-
take
no.
my shirt off for mine, man.
I
That's
didn't
like
make you
the
take
whole-
your shirt off.
Yeah. Listen,
Mine, I'll show mine. Mine is a dumb.
Well,
it's like it's been covered up a little bit, but
his
added
got
to. It hasn't been
covered up.
covered up. It got added to.
Hey,
Or
nobody
tattoo-
asked him to
tattoo
get the
Marty.
tramp- Now he has to like literally do the walk of shame and show a tramp stamp. You
Yeah.
never thought you'd get called out on a podcast, did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
I
You
did
never
it.
thought
I
this
did
would
it.
happen, did
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
That's awesome, Jovan. Yeah. Yeah. No, for real though. Like you are lucky that you chose a good tattoo right out the gate.
Yeah.
I'm not. I got to go right here with Native American context before
Oh,
I
he's gonna
knew
show the one he likes.
what I was. Yeah, the one I like.
When you like by a decent artist.
Yeah, by a decent artist. So
Yeah.
So what is the oldest person? Well, yeah. Let's go back to your.
Your shop hang around. What happens after your shop hang around?
After shop hang around, you basically kind of see where if you're doing a 9 to 5, at least for like teenagers. So if you're a teenager hanging around, you basically continue into your adult years hanging around and just start doing tattoos, or you go whatever you have to do, pay bills, go to the army, get a job, go to college, whatever you have to do. That's another thing a lot of people don't tell you when you're in school. Like there's gonna come a chance where you make decisions, kids. Guess what, kids? You make decisions when you're in school. Why? Because you have to make that choice of what you're doing to pay bills, man. That's a lot of people don't understand. That's why people go into the service and do things like that, because there's bills to pay, man. Not everything is sugar coated and candy coated. Like mom and dad are trying to shield you from the world. Guess what, kid? It's just your mom and dad. And then kind of pop a decision. My decision was I kept doing the tattoo thing, dude. I actually did try doing the college thing. Went to 3 different colleges, man. Never got a degree. Not to say that college isn't good for anything, dude. It definitely gets your social skills. If you direct it right, it definitely gives you a lot of education. A lot of actual information. But for me, it was just like hands-on. Then I got to the beach, and then the fun time started. At the beach, I started selling tattoos. Managing other artists.
What do you mean selling tattoos? What does that mean?
Yeah, like when you're in a tattoo shop, there's usually a person that greets you, either that be a manager or somebody like in that perspective. Back then, they didn't have those types of positions. It was just you're tattooing, and that's it. You know, those positions like managers and stuff like that came on later. Basically just to do like crowd control and stuff like that, or to give a perception of the crowd, at least like a buffer. Remember, these are, you know, in the majority hard guys with no buffer, you know, now trying to go into the mainstream. So
Yeah.
started having like kind of like a buffer person in the middle. That's something I started seeing like after like reality shows and stuff like that, you know, especially here in Miami. We started seeing all those shops at the beach. Tattoo wise, man, I only had the tattoo for a few years. Out of that, I started building up other people's shops, and then you start seeing how the industry is. And a big part of it was this whole kind of whirlpool that was happening. You know, some people were just dinosaurs and being left in the dust. And then you had these new ninjas that were coming out, kids that actually went to art school, you know, killer oil painters and killer, you know, designers and graphic designers that just picked up a tattoo machine, you know, 2, 3 years into tattooing, and they're doing killer tattoos because again, everything's online, man. Just like I made the joke to him later, hey, you didn't think this was going to be on a podcast, did you? Did you? But that's kind of how it is now. Before, to get the skills, you got to, you know, clean a shop for 2 years and scrub tubes for another year, and then maybe you got to do one tattoo a month. So you, for your first 3 years, you probably have 20 tattoos and probably a year's worth of information. Now a kid can, if he goes to a shop and he says, I want to apprentice, if that kid really has discipline and determination and really wants it, he can. And most artists are going to say, yeah, you can't watch YouTube, you can't understand this. Yes, that is very true. But there's a lot that you can. I don't care what people tell you, man. They don't. They're just scared to be dinosaurs, to be honest with you, man. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
information that is definitely hands-on that you will not get, no matter how much you YouTube it. You're not going to get it unless you touch people's skin. That's a lot of it, and that's years of actual practice. But actual first-hand information, like what inks, how to blend, do things like that, like apart from the actual skin tech, there's a lot of information. So these kids with actual art skills and composition and light and all these different things, perspective, a lot of different talents, man, that's going to take you as a tattoo artist used to take you years to do. They're already coming in with these skills. So you have to start to adapt. So I opened up a couple of shops for some people, showed some people how to kind of do the new thing. And dude, I sat down and made some math, and I was losing more money than I was making. So it's time to make my own type of shop. So I run a different type of show. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what was the biggest lesson learned? What was your big aha moment that you're like, oh, let me just go ahead and get this started?
It basically there's like the dinosaur thing. There's people that just want to stay in the past, and then there's people that want to move extremely fast forward. But if you adapt to how the industry is going, that's the biggest one for me. That was adaptation, I guess, if we want to put it like in one word, adaptation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
but, sorry there. So you seen other shops weren't adapting, and you felt like you could adapt more, or you just felt like you had your own spin on it and you could make it work?
All right, let's break this down. A couple of things. So, like, first of all, how artists are being treated. As an artist, majority of people don't know how tattoo works. So, let's start from that. When you go into a tattoo shop, there's basically a couple of ways people charge. Either tattoo shops that charge you by the hour, or tattoo shops that charge you by the piece. That's basically what it comes down to. Now, a good shop is going to charge you anywhere from $150 to like $200 an hour. Somebody with a license should charge you at least $100. Now, people think those are expensive tattoos, especially people that are used to paying $20, $30, $40, $50 for a tattoo. But it's going to come down to a lot of factors. And there's a really a great artist called Mike Rubendahl that wrote a blog about it. And it breaks it down to your supplies and like when you're professional, what you should be using, how much time it took you to actually get the skills. And then, most importantly, how much you're splitting with the shop. As a shop owner, I make 100%. My boys don't make 100%. They have to split with the shop. Now, the majority of these shops, if these kids are starting, there's just like landlords, man. There's landlords that rape and pillage, and they take 70%. And there's kids coming up, and they're paying 70% to tattoo. And people don't know this, man.
But they'll do it for the experience, won't they?
They're doing it for their portfolio, to be able to get that one-on-one time with skin, to be able to build their portfolio, to take that picture, to actually make a better career. So there's definitely people out there milking them for 30, 40%. Me, on the other hand, for instance, I'm not going to tell you what my percentage is, but I do know for a fact I'm the highest paying shop, at least in Miami, by far. When I say far, I mean very far. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys a number, but my artists are the best compensated in Miami right now, just because that was a big loophole that I was seeing. So people don't know that. So people think that $150 for, let's say, a shop minimum tattoo is expensive, but they don't know that the kid's getting 30%, 40%, maybe 50, 55 on a good shop. And that's pretty much across the board. It's 50, 55%, you know. Really well artists get 60, maybe 70%. You know, that's kind of how it happens. So if you're actually paying, let's say, $100 on the tattoo, let's say the guy's on a 50-50 split, he's paying 50%. Now, remember, this guy's a 1099, not a W-2. So at the end of the day, he better have a really good tax guy to write off as much as he can on that 30% he has to pay Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So out of that $50, where's he really at? Now, his utility, like what's his material? What's it going to cost him to actually set up that station? Let's say it's a little star you want to do. You think, it's going to cost you nothing to do it. All right, let's say $100. Now he's getting 50, takes off the tax, and then how much is he going to set up? So let's say after he's set up and everything, he's making $30. Let's say this girl was a super sweetheart, and the girl didn't ask for anything more, and he actually got to do the tattoo in 30 minutes. That's conversation, stencil, drawing, everything, put it on, actually getting a clean, sterile environment tattoo. Now, by the time, if you took 2 of those hours instead of 1, now you're only making $15 an hour. Now, if you were a person that's a professional, everything, which you should be doing anyway because it's a person's body, that took you 3 hours. Now you're less than, what, minimum wage. So it takes a lot. So that was one of the I don't want us to lose train of thought. So that was one of the loopholes that I found, being able to not pass those costs on to the client. The way I do it, and I don't do this on the phone. I'm going to make the exception because, you guys invited me over. It's awesome to actually have a conversation with people that, inspire people to get out there and go. So the way that I do in my shop, I only have 3 types of appointments. I have a shop minimum, which is $150. I do $500 session and $1,000 session for the day. And those sessions, I'll give you a couple of different sizes. And I don't charge for different positioning. I don't charge for or you want an extra color, it's going to be $20 extra. No, I want I want an honest decision when my customer looks at the mirror and says, that's the exact tattoo I want. Not, that's perfect, but since it's going to cost me $50 more, I guess I'll live with this decision for the rest of these 60, 80, 100 years that I got left.
Right.
That's the way that I do. I do it by session. There's a couple of heavy hitters that do it by session now. The majority of my peers, they do it by session. I do it at a grand, just based on the amount of time that I want to dedicate to a person, where I'm comfortable and I'm not overworked and the person's not pressured. But again, some of my peers charge $2-3 grand for the session, for the day session.
Oh yeah, me and Larry looked into a guy down there in Miami that was very expensive, and he's a session guy.
Yeah, and it was up there.
I don't remember what it was, but what was it?
It's probably going to be around the $2,500 mark. And again, but it's because they're splitting. Remember that they're splitting. At my shop, you're basically cutting down the middleman. You're not, dude, because I'm still there.
Yeah.
And best believe I'm still a shop owner. But I get to compensate my guys to a point where they're not passing on that cost to you.
Yeah.
So that first tattoo that you gave out, how nerve-wracking were you? How old were you?
The first tattoo that I put on somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And who was it?
Dude, it was horrible.
Okay. Now, obviously, you have some kind of artistry skills, right? And so you recognize that early, and at least people are telling you that you're good. But putting a needle right into somebody's skin and painting it's got to be a different experience.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be horrible, man. It's gonna be a bad couple of months, years, whatever it's gonna be. So I wasn't looking for an apprentice. And I actually came about a girl. She came into my shop. I don't know if this is into like the podcast portfolio or whatever.
Hey, it's just a conversation.
with her sister, and she had a little book on her. And you know when something has like a little spark about it, I just picked up the book and started looking at and I ended up calling her and offering her a job. So I don't do apprenticeship, but I actually told her, listen, I won't apprentice you, but I'll give you a job to see how you start off. Dude, her legs look horrible, right? As of now, because she has to put in the work. But she's a true soldier and a true trooper.
So what? She's tattooing her own legs?
Yeah, she's been tattooing her friends, her own legs, you know, and they're not half bad. I'm busting her chops. We wouldn't let her tattoo before she would actually have some practice on other type of texture to skin. But that's what it takes, man. At the beginning, it's nerve-wracking. It's not going to look clean. There's no way, no how their first tattoo will look good.
So did you practice on yourself as well?
No.
My wife's cousin was going down the tattoo. Like he's a pretty good artist, and he was looking into that, and he got the equipment and practiced on his legs and stuff too. I don't think he kept with it. I think he kind of went a different direction, but for a while he was practicing on his legs as well. I'm not sure what they turned out to, but I guess it's an easy way to practice without offending somebody.
How do you convince somebody to be your first guinea pig, for lack of a better word?
Your best shot, your first shot's gonna be that they like your art. That's number one. Somebody likes your art, man. They're gonna trust you.
Okay.
First of all, somebody that trusts you. Period. I'll tell you something, man. Chances of you liking any tattoo, and I really like what I do, man. I love my style, man. I know nobody puts tattoo. I know if you guys checked out the page, the style that
good stuff.
There's not a lot of people that put it out. But I'll tell you one thing, man. Chances of you liking that tattoo after looking at it for 40, 50 years, probably slim to none, dude. But again, it's not about that. It's about what happened that day. How were you feeling that day? Listen, I have countless tattoos. And if you point at one, dude, I don't know how many I have, but if you point at one, dude, I'll tell you what I was talking about, who I was with, what I was feeling, what it smelled like in the room. You know, it's about
they tell a story for sure.
You find somebody that you trust. You know, the first people that she tattooed was definitely her sister, herself, her boyfriend, you know, her friends, you know, people that liked her art and again trusted her.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
That's completely opposite of what I would have thought. I would have thought, honestly, like, if I just wanted to, like, get skin, I would just probably go to the hood somewhere and be like, hey, free tattoos with, like, a cardboard sign.
Oh, you could totally do that. Sacrificial lamb. Like crazy. That's the other route you could do. Well, you do try to look for those. There's no lie that you do have to look for those. For instance, you try to pop somebody for, all right, man, I need to do 10 tattoos, so I'll tattoo your whole leg. Just pay me for this afternoon, but we're going to tattoo your whole leg. So that person, if they were ever expecting to get a full sleeve or a leg sleeve, they're getting it on the super cheap, But if the person is actually doing like an apprenticeship and they're actually going to a shop, it won't be half bad. If the person's just at their house and then just buying like a kit off internet, it's a really different story.
That sounds dangerous.
Can you get an
There's
eBay
definitely
kit?
levels to this game, man. There's a lot of levels. There's first tattoos. Like my friends did her first tattoo at a shop with people that have been tattooing 15, 20 years right next to her. It's a very different environment. She did, dozens of tattoos on fake skin for a while. You get me on oranges, on anything she could, drawing with the machine on, doing a whole bunch of exercises before she even touched skin. So it's a really different process from that to like, yo, let's buy a set from Amazon and let's get down in Bogey Town.
Oh man, yeah.
So you mentioned levels, right? There's levels to everything, no matter what you do in life. So one of the things that I want to ask you, because I'll see some guys who like their ink just like pops, and then there's some that's like dull like after a year, but there's some that just like it just has something in that where it pops. Is it the way that they're tattooing, or is it the type of ink that they're using, or what is that?
There's a couple of things, and that actually we can segue into a really cool conversation, which is tattoo artists and tattooers. So I've worked with both tattoo artists and tattooers. Tattoo artists, they can imagine almost impossible things, and they're amazing, dude. They can deliver probably half as much. A tattooer will probably design you something as clean as possible, but their delivery will be amazing. There's a couple of guys that do their career off it. They're $1,000 tattoos. If you looked at them without a second education or anything based on tattoos, you'd call me crazy, dude, for paying $1,000 or bucks for that tattoo. For me personally, with 20 years almost into it, worth every single penny of it. So there's definitely a big difference into those. Tattooers also tend to have a little bit more respect for the game or for the tradition than tattoo artists. Tattoo artists tend to be a lot of the new schooler guys coming up with maybe a couple of years of education in actual art and then segue kind of into becoming a tattoo artist. You know?
I got you. Now, how many artists do you guys have at your shop?
In-house, there's 3, but I actually have my shop as a hub for international artists. Again,
because you just had somebody there, and that sleeve that he did with would it have a compass on it or something like that on your page?
Which one of all those? The compass, I think that was maybe.
Or was it a watch? It was one of the more recent photos that you posted on your Instagram page for the shop. You said it was let me think about this. Hold on.
So what?
You said it was a guest artist.
So basically, you have
the last guest artist that we had was Bochas from Colombia. That's the one that you met at the gas station. We also had Supreme Joan from Greece. That guy does some crazy abstract stuff. Really, really appropriate for the type of work that we do at the shop. We had another artist that actually did another compass, but you have to be a little bit more specific or send me like an image for
So you just have guests.
We got a couple of compasses this week.
So just to make sure I understand it, you just have guest artists that come in and they actually do like they just set up shop with you for like a day or 2 or a month or how does that work?
Yeah, well, guest artists is exactly that. Usually it should be a shop inviting and either seeing that they either value their art or follow their art or see that they've shown respect for the industry, or they want to actually do a collaboration with them, or they have a friend in common they want to invite over to the shop to be a guest for a couple of days. Usually those shops, if they're not a guest, they play it off as a guest artist, but they're really charging the person, and it's more like a nomad. So an artist that's a nomad will make a call into a shop and tell you, hey, how's it going, dude? Are you guys usually doing guest artist spot? What's your shop split? The conversation will go something like, all right, are you popping in some clients, or are you just, checking out some walk-ins? And they'll break down the percentages from there. A true guest artist is somebody that you actually invite and you tell them, all right, how's it hanging? Love to collab with you. You want to come down? That usually works either like a day charge or a much, much smaller percentage. And on to that, I also know that on that rate, I also compensate the best so that I could have these new guys or bigger guys or people that I'm not even in relationship with coming down in my shop. Because, again, there's still a lot about interaction and who you know and who you can ask in favor to come in. So I also go that route where, listen, guys, you guys are an actual guest. I'd be honored to have you guys in here just so you can have a hub or a place to work with.
Well, that seems like a big difference too. And I'm sorry, I was completely wrong. It wasn't a compass. It was like a watch face with the eye in the middle.
Oh yeah, that was Frank. Yeah, dude, that's the actual sleeve that we're working on right now. The guy was sitting 2 days ago. He's jumping all over the place. He's finishing off his leg with we're doing a Raiden from Mortal Kombat on a digital arcade grid, like those pink grids, with a Ken from Street Fighter coming up on his whole leg. So that piece, stay tuned. That one's going to be something crazy when we're done with it.
And where was that guy from? The Frank, I can't pronounce his last name.
Frank Hernandez.
It wasn't Hernandez, was it? Was it Hernandez?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Let me double check.
I thought it was like Hergog something.
No, it's Frank. It's either Fernandez or he's probably going crazy somewhere. It's like, dude, it's not Fernandez. It's American name, dude.
No,
hey,
yeah.
Hey, just go in and ask for Frank.
Yeah, there you go. Frank it is.
So what do you think of the old school fishbone tattoo?
The fishbone, as in what?
Like the old Hawaiian style, where you're doing the almost like it seems like they're using like fishbone to or some kind of like needle, not necessarily a machine
Oh, okay.
to do
So
the
the
piercing.
Tabori style. The Tabori
Yeah.
style. I actually dig those, man. There's a big comeback right now happening in hand poke tattoos. That's basically going back to Tabori. Tabori's you can see it all over the place. You can see it in Japanese. You can see it in old Polynesian. Tibetans have it a lot. The word tattoo actually comes from something like that. It comes from the sound that the sticks would make when sailors would hear the people actually doing Tabori. Japanese
Hmm.
actually do it with kind of a swiping motion onto their palms. Polynesians, on the other hand, do it where they actually tap with another stick on top, making a tattoo sound, which
Okay.
gave the tattooing the actual name tattooing. Art imitating life, imitating art. The first machines that were actually based on like coils actually had kind of like that same sound, which is that traditional buzzing sound that you have from tattoos.
Okay. Now,
I think, man, they're having a big resurgence right now. There's people that are building their whole careers off it. It's a lot of patience, man. It's not an easy thing to do. It's definitely not an easy thing to do to make it look clean. And they have their own little style, man. It's a nice little style.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree with you. All right. So another question I have is when somebody comes into your shop or whenever, like if I'm gonna go get a tattoo tomorrow, like people like me think like, oh, they'll just draw it up for me, blah blah blah, right? But what is the best way for somebody to walk into a tattoo place with an idea in mind to make it come into fruition?
All right, the best way. I mean, especially now, if you don't have like a recommendation already, you haven't seen somebody's actual tattoo like on them healed and everything. 'Cause that's the best way, dude. The best way is word of mouth. That you can never go wrong with that. Actually seeing a tattoo on somebody's arm, saying, "Where did you get that?" That's the best way.
Yeah, but I mean like as a
Now, for
client, right?
somebody that's
Like if
actually looking for a shop, right? Like looking for a place to
no,
get a tattoo.
no, so like if I want to go get a tattoo, right? Like I'm a client, I'm gonna walk into a tattoo shop. Like let's say I come to you tomorrow and I'm like, hey, I want to get a tattoo,
Okay,
and I have an
two different
idea.
questions. Number one, if you're already at my shop, or two, if you're looking for a shop. If you're looking for a shop, check out a couple of pages. Definitely check out some portfolios. Make sure that you like the work, that you can identify with the style or something that you're looking for. You should have a clear idea of at least what type of theme, subject, or at least something that you like. You know, people sometimes think that the best art answer for a tattoo artist is, oh, do whatever, do your thing. It's that way until it's not really do your thing. It's kind of like start throwing out ideas and start brainstorming with me until we come up with something. So that's never like do your own thing. So the best way to actually get a tattoo done, if you already chose my shop, which by the way, all you should, is to actually come in. We'll sit down. First of all, talk about the idea that you have. Now, your Pinterest, your IG, your Instagram, your everything looks way different than mine, man. And the more so, the Rolodex that's in my brain is way different than what's in yours. So the first consultation should at least be a back and forth for me giving value to you. What's value? Because it's not if the tattoo is going to take me 2 hours to do or 3 hours to do. It's that it took me 20 years to get to be able to do it in 2 or 3 hours and do it well. So I have to be giving you as much value to that tattoo, especially if I'm going to charge you your hard-earned money for it. So first thing should be consultation. Make sure to give you as much ideas, creativity as possible to try to plasmate the idea that you want. From then, once you're sure, you drop a deposit. That way you get a drawing. That way your artist knows that they're not drawing for free, that you're somebody that's super serious about their tattoo, and you set up an appointment. You check out your schedules. Hey, listen, I'll probably have you in by, let's say, June 5th. Boom, perfect. That day I'll have a drawing, everything ready for you. If they're professional about it, they should be able to adapt on the spot. That's why you're walking in the first years of your career are critical for that. Let's say the day of your appointment you came in, you want to make a little bit of adaptation. It's a lot easier than to be, going back and forth with some crazy talk. I could say teddy bear, and you're thinking a brown one. Corey's thinking of a polar bear one. Somebody's thinking about one with the red nose. Until we have something on paper, it's all up in the air. Once something on paper, it's easily adaptable, and then we just do your session. That's why it's a lot easier to work on sessions too.
So what you're saying there, just to clarify, just so I'm hearing you correctly, you shouldn't get hammered drunk on tequila in Mexico and go get.
No, you
tattoos.
should. You're not listening, dude. That's what you should do.
Okay.
This is Plan B.
I
This is
I
Plan
just
B.
needed to clarify that, Jovan.
Just in case. If you came back into consciousness and you don't have a tattoo, then you do this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you on this, 100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay,
Corey,
yeah.
I bought a kit off eBay, Corey. I got you covered next time we get together.
Covered, dude. Covered.
Yeah, he'll draw a lizard on you, no problem. All right, we got stencils galore.
Yeah.
Definitely the best way to get a tattoo done, man. Is to set up an appointment, schedule your time. The most
Right
important thing is your feedback with the guy that's doing the tattoo, man. I mean, listen, I can't say I've done it for my whole career because I'd be lying to you guys if I did. You have to sit down with somebody that's going to sit down and value that that's a human being in front of them and that's somebody's body. So if it's a small tattoo, if it's a big tattoo, they should be taking the exact same time with you and dedication.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. So really, your first meeting with the tattoo artist should really just be a conversation, making sure that we're all on the same page, and then you commit to the tattoo after you see a sketch of it.
No, not a sketch. To get a sketch, you can get a preliminary sketch of something just to like kind of a blueprint really on top during the conversation. But to actually get a sketch, you should always drop a deposit. That actually shows your artist that you're serious about getting a tattoo. And trust me, if it's a person that does this for a living, it makes a huge difference on what he's drawing for. People try not to be biased. And let's say for instance, a guy has a slow day. He'll tell you, hey, listen, I'll draw it. You could be super lucky. He may be able to, have a good mood and do a super cool drawing because you gave him a great subject or whatever it might be, But if they have something in their head like, oh man, this guy asked for like a super complicated drawing. I don't want to be here like an hour, man, and not make like a buck out of it, and then have somebody walking in, maybe dropping it a pot. So like, all these things and factors are going to the artist's heads. Why not just put it at ease and say, listen, all about it. Let's drop a deposit, set up my appointment. It's going to your tattoo anyway, dude. So it's not something that, if you're serious about it, you shouldn't be looking to get that drawing for free anyway. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. It's gonna be with you for life,
yeah.
right? Might as well pay into it. It's kind of like paying for
It's
a
an
good
investment.
shoes.
Yeah.
It's definitely an investment.
I try to do it like, for instance, if somebody already has a drawing, I try to give them as much value, at least in that consultation, as possible. So let's say, for instance, somebody already has, let's put it very simple, a star, right? An outline of a star. And that person says, I want it on my shoulder. And I have the time right there. I don't feel pressure that I have somebody walking in or I can deal with it. Hey, do you have the time? Listen, let me show you a couple of sizes. Let me put them on you and see which one you like. And then we're already set for the appointment. I already have the size then. So I gave him a little bit more value of that day, even if it's just a sense of a drawing that's already done. Why you should be doing, because if this is something that you do for a living, you know that you're cutting on yours and your client's time later on, dude. And that's the one commodity that everybody needs more of.
Yeah, 100%. One other thing too is that do you do cover-ups? I know there's some artists that don't do cover-ups, and why won't they do cover-ups? I think I know the answer, but
yeah. All right, so there's a couple of answers actually to that. I do cover-ups at the shop. I don't do cover-ups on my own body. I don't do them on my own body because you never did decision. It's supposed to be a tattoo, man. It's made
Okay.
that decision, dude. And may that be a reminder. Hopefully, you don't forget the lesson.
Okay, I like that.
Check.
Me personally, I don't have any of my tattoos covered. I do have plenty of cover-ups in my portfolio. Why? Because I do understand that some decisions are extremely hard to live with for some people. So I definitely, try to help with that decision as much as possible. Now, first reason why most artists don't do a cover-up is super hard. All right, you're dealing with skin that's either black or much darker than it already is. You're already dealing with a skin that, no matter how good the tattoo is done, already has a little bit of scar tissue on it. So the injection of the ink, for lack of a better term, is going to be a little bit different. And then you're already adapting to another piece. Now, the other thing is the conversation that people have to have with their client. They don't want to lose the client. So a lot of the people tell people what they want to hear rather than what they need to be listening to. So, for instance, cover-ups. If somebody is starting off their career, they should be at least playing it safe and saying, yeah, you definitely need a much bigger tattoo. So if something is, let's say, the size of top of a Coke can, now it's got to be at least 3 or 4 sizes that. Like the whole can standing up at least. That way you can cover it with like a koi or something with like a really black image or something that's really rough or something with colors. The more you get involved with your career and the more, again, these new school guys that have, actual art school with development of art of light concepts and volume concepts can hide a tattoo in a much smaller volume. So for instance, the cats that I've been working with, they can cover up the same a tattoo roughly in the same area. You just have to be a little bit more lenient as a client to what we do as for an image. So you can pick the subject matter. So let's say you say, all right, man, I'd love to cover up this lizard, right, with a Hanya, right? That's perfect. That's as far as you can go. You get 2 words. So you got Hanya. That's as far as you can go, and I'll keep it super small. You get me? Or I want lizards with peony. Cool. That's it. You're cool. You get 2 words. And I can keep it really small. The more words, think about it this way. The more words you give me, the bigger the tattoo's got to be. Because the more parameters I have.
That makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Now, again, this has to be somebody at least 5, 6 years in their career at a minimum, dude, to at least start trying to cover a tattoo in the same space.
Now you gave me.
Big go home.
Yeah, you gave me a different answer than I thought you were going to give me. Where I thought you were going to say because you wouldn't want that in your portfolio.
No.
Okay.
You wouldn't want a bad one in your portfolio, so it's
right.
part of your answer, and it's really hard to make a good one.
Okay,
that's fair.
All right.
So Jovan, we as we kind of get towards the end, you've had a pretty cool career in this, and you started out with a love of art and everything. We always ask our guests if they have any advice for our listeners. It could be something, a life lesson that you've learned along your way, or maybe it's in the realm of a client pointing a tattoo. Is there any life lesson or advice you'd like to impart on our listeners?
Man, Corey told me about this question, and I didn't want to even just say something about tattooing. Just more so that if you want something, I'm a firm believer, dude, that things belong to people that want it the most, man. And people think that wanting is sitting down on their couch and saying, I want it. Nah, dude. So wanting it, man, is getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 4. You get me? It's 25, 26-hour days. Where are you going to get those other 2 hours? I don't know, bro. But that's
sleep faster.
That's really wanting. So best advice, dude, if that's the other thing. Dude, somebody did tell me when I was a kid, plenty of times. But, dude, if you want it, I could have saved a good 10, 15 years out of it. And there's kids right now that have the talent, just have the drive, man. Want it more than anybody, work for it harder than anybody, and you'll get anything you want. Anything.
I like that. Things belong to people who want it the most.
Yeah. For sure.
I like that.
Real. For sure.
That's truth.
All right,
awesome.
Jovan, where can people find you at?
Dude, the speakeasy way to get a hold of us and more directed to all the artists is going to be IG, Wynwood_tattoo. You can write us at wynwoodtattoo@gmail.com, wynwoodtattoocompany.com, and our business is also there on Google and Yelp if you guys want to check out our portfolios. But thanks for inviting me, guys. This has been an awesome
Jovan, thank you so much. And
Hey, Jovan, real quick, you spell Wynwood as WIN or WYN?
WYNWOOD_tattoo TATTOO at that's our Instagram logo.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Jovan, I'll be in contact with you. I'm gonna shoot you some ideas for my tattoo. Okay.
Dude, we gotta do a ride when the cars are done. We gotta go ride.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure, man.
Hey, Jovan, can we record it? Make content?
Yeah, of course, man. You got it.
Nice. I want to see Corey cry.
Right on.
Thank you so much, Jovan.
Hey,
Perfect time, man. I'm like on 10%
Take care, man.
battery.
All right.
Easy, guys. Be safe, man. God bless you guys. Have a good night, man.
You too, bud.
All right, guys. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at fullgorillalife@gmail.com.
And if you want to see what's going on at social media, you can find us Instagram and Facebook at Full Gorilla Life, and on Twitter at Gorilla Full.
And last but not least, visit our website, fullgorilla.life, and please hit subscribe on your podcast app of choice, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this on Instagram, hit subscribe.
Later.
Peace.